Seeing the crowds, he went up on the mountain, and when he sat down, his disciples came to him, and he opened his mouth and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be satisfied. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for so men persecuted the prophets who were before you."
I suspect that in general, the only people who are tempted to glamorise war are those who have never had to live through it. Because war is a harsh and tragically inevitable fact of human existence, but it is never, ever glamorous. War is a complex business which confronts human beings with all the big questions of life, questions of right and wrong, meaning and purpose, life and death. Because in the context of war, such issues are presented in their most stark and uncompromising and inescapable form. The reality of war challenges us to decide which are the things in life that are really worth defending at all costs, and asks all of us how far we are prepared to go in order to defend them. And war is a context that brings out the very best and the very worst in human beings. It's an arena in which we see the most depraved manifestations of human evil and cruelty, and where cowardice and hypocrisy are exposed. After all, as someone once observed, only a human being is capable of being inhuman. And yet, alongside such horrors, we can also, on occasion, glimpse the finest of human qualities at work. Qualities such as courage and self-sacrifice, honour, duty, service, and compassion. In short, war can provide a mirror in which we see ourselves as a species at our very worst and at our best. And war is also a context in which some of the most significant tensions within human life can become apparent, particularly for those serving in the armed forces. In war, how can a professional soldier both fulfill his or her duty, but also retain their essential humanity? Because to lose that is to lose one's soul. Some years ago, I heard a radio interview with a man called Theodore Nell. At the time, he had been a soldier for 22 years. He was a former member of the SAS. But he's also a poet who has written a great deal of immensely thought-provoking poetry that both recounts and reflects upon his experience on active service. One of the observations that Theo Nell made in that interview was that there is no such thing as an unwounded soldier. The wounds may not be visible and they may not be physical, but they are no less real. In a poem he wrote called simply Loss, he recounts the experience of burying his closest friend when the two of them were both on active service overseas. In this poem you will hear how, on the one hand, he is the soldier who's simply doing his duty. Under cover of darkness, he's helping bury the body of a dead young man. But alongside that, we also see the grief-stricken individual who has lost someone dear to his heart, who knows that his friend deserves so much more than a simple burial in the frozen earth with minimal ceremony. Alongside the orderliness of the soldier's life and the man who's getting on with doing his duty, we see the inner turmoil of a bereaved human being. Here's a slightly shortened version of the poem, which is called Loss. Like tired ghosts we appear, one by one, from the darkness of night. The moon slides behind a cloud, hiding our arrival, while the trees carry our grief, helped by the earth, which now cradles the empty shell that was once my friend. Quietly we cry, not like children who've lost a favourite toy, but as men here to bury a brother, a warrior, and my best friend, who, in the eyes of his mother, will always be just a boy. Your courage, humour, and compassion, even in the face of great adversity, is the stuff of regimental legends. The infectious laughter, like your generosity and love, along with my guilt of having survived, will walk with me always. The service must be short, my friend, much shorter than you deserve, for we still have things to do. As you lie here in this simple grave, with the frost gnawing on your bones, just remember, I promised I'd not forget you. I will return and take you home. When I'm asked, why do you grieve so? My mind will return here to your freshly dug grave, and I'll answer quietly, because with the loss of every friend, my world grows a little dimmer, and I've spent too long in the dark already. Today we are remembering. And regardless of whether or not we know specific individuals who have lost their lives in war, the task of remembering belongs to us all. Because remembering is not simply about the past. It is also very directly to do with the present, and it has very important implications for the future. Because remembering is about learning. And if we are unwilling to remember, then we are unwilling to learn. And it is precisely because the scale and the enormity of war is so very difficult to grasp that we all need to pause to take part in this time of remembrance. Because we must never ever forget the horror and the waste of war. Because we must never ever take the peace and freedom that we currently enjoy for granted, because such things are all too often bought at terrible human cost. And sometimes it is only within the context of death that we can fully begin to appreciate the value of life, the value of friendship, the meaning of courage, the nature of love. But above all, we are reminded as Christians of the duty laid upon us by the Prince of Peace, the one whom we are all called to serve, that we are to be peacemakers in our bleak, desolate, and all too often violent world. And that can never be about avoiding conflict, but rather it calls us to have the courage to go to its very heart and strive to live in a way that declares it does not have to be like this. Amen.